Trump to Trump. What's good, everybody? Hey, how y'all doing? What's good? How y'all doing out there? I hope everybody's good. You know what I'm saying? The king is back. You know what it is. Hope everybody's great. I hope y'all had a great day. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for joining my live the other night. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. People in the comments saying we still here with you. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? It was some technical difficulties with the YouTube in the area I was in, but yeah, I'm gonna be doing some lives now. So you're gonna see the king at it. I'm gonna probably do a week review, things I talk about with throughout the week. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be, doing a live. So today's episode, Drake now, his team wants to push back the lawsuit that they're pending. And before they wanted to push it up, now they want to push it back. I think because they got smoked in that response from UMG. So before I get into that, I got to get a legendary spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful single sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content. Absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. I went from 1,300 subscribers to over 16,000. And yes, I am the king of the North. Let me know what kingdom you from. You know what it is. So look, let's get to it, man. Let's do it. All right, this comes courtesy of the Ville. Let's go.
So there was a couple things in this lawsuit that was updated, right? There was a thing that was updated with UMG and Drake. Apparently, Drake's lawyers are trying to push back against UMG. They're trying to say all these things about a motion to stay, motion to dismiss. And I wanted to break down the things that they're trying to argue back against UMG because, UMG is.
Okay, so push back, not necessarily push back the date, but push back on them in their argument. Okay, I get it now. Just wanted to clarify that.
Trying to dismiss this case, and they're still trying to get the discovery, and UMG's just trying to dismiss it without giving them anything, right? So I wanted to break this down and show you the pushback that the lawyer is giving and how it's going to make everything a lot more harder for them and cause a lot more issues and open up a lot more can of worms in the near future. So let me take you to the page here where they just started talking to the lawyer, where the lawyer started talking to the judge. Right here, Drake's lawyers are trying to say that UMG had failed to make a strong showing that the plaintiff's claims are unmeritorious. On the motion to stay discovery, the defendant must make a strong showing that plaintiff's claims are so meritless as to warrant a stay. Courts have looked to whether the complaint is facially without merit. For example, a motion to stay was appropriate where the defendant's motion to dismiss was directed to federal court jurisdiction, whereas jurisdiction could be determined readily from the face of the complaint, and where the plaintiff was unable to cite any relevant authority in support of the existence of jurisdiction. Right?
What I don't understand is how you saying that this is meritless when they basically laid out the whole thing. They laid out everything. How? And another thing too about a lot of these lawyers, they're really good at word semantics. That's why they're lawyers. They're really good at some of the stuff that they be putting across. It just blows your mind how they try to flip words. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't understand that part though. Like, what are you talking about, Nerdless? They broke down the whole thing. They went through the whole timeline. How? I just don't get it.
Here on the second page is what matters. UMG claims it need only show motion to dismiss is not unfounded in law. Motion to stay at 2. However, the balance of authority endorses a significantly higher standard. UMG has failed to meet its burden. The motion to stay, like the motion to dismiss, ignores the vast majority of plaintiffs' well-pled factual allegations in the 237 paragraph complaint. UMG's headline argument is that the defamatory material is non-actionable opinion that no reasonable person would understand as a statement of fact. Motion to dismiss at 11, this argument is doomed to fail and is nowhere close to establishing the plaintiff's defamation claim is facially without merit. For one, UMG.
Okay, so you basically saying that what UMG is saying that all of the things that Kendrick Lamar said, people ain't taking serious, right? They're not taking serious. But your counter argument is it is serious because it definitely hurt my client. It hurt his feelings, and I'm sure it's going to come up. You're trying to tie that someone attacked your client's home, and you're trying to say that it's based on what Kendrick Lamar said in these songs. It's basically what it is. That's why they saying it's meritless. No, it is. Like, they broke down the whole case. This is crazy.
Completely ignores the complaint's allegation that millions of people all over the world did understand the defamatory material as a factual assertion that plaintiff is a PDF file. UMG also.
But see, this is what I mean by they being disingenuous. He never said that he was a pedophile. He never said that. He said certified lover boy, certified pet. He's talking about everybody else because he said, why is he around? And we all know why he has, you know what I'm saying? That's it. We all know why he has a case. But he didn't put it on him. And that's what they're going to argue. He never directly said he was. You know what I'm saying? And you also could say that he said certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. You know what I'm saying? Certified lover boy is a term that they used against you when you manipulate women into falling for you. That's actually a law that they used against people. I believe they went after Andrew Tate with that law. So this is what they do. They say, oh, you use the certified lover boy effect. So it's kind of like coercing women into doing what you want. And some pedophiles do that. It's the master manipulator tactic. Let's keep it going.
Also ignores allegations that the statements in question and surrounding context implied that these allegations were based on undisclosed evidence, and the audience understood as much. Indeed, UMG effectively concedes that it has no hope of defeating the sufficiency of the complaint via its attempt to substitute pleadings with its own factual narrative contained within a request for judicial notice of 26 exhibits. UMG improperly asked the court to accept many of these exhibits for the truth of the matters asserted, therefore, therein, motion to dismiss at 17, relying on news articles for the truth of statements made about the consented meaning of lyrics. At 16, offering UMG's interpretation of the meaning of lyrics from another exhibit. None of this appropriate at motion to dismiss stage. So real quick, just to pause, I wanted to break down this paragraph right here because this is important, because they're talking about how the argument that UMG tried to make was that the defamatory material is non-actionable opinion that no reasonable person would understand as a statement of fact. Everybody knows it's a rat beef. Because it's a rat beef, obviously nobody's going to take this serious. And the hyperbole and opinions that Kendrick Lamar and Drake are saying about each other, this is rap battle, this is rat beef. Everybody knows they're beefing. They know that this happens in rap battle. This is something that's done out of entertainment. Drake and his lawyer arguing this is just anti-hip-hop within itself. But not only that.
That's 100% facts. That's 100% facts. It's definitely anti-hip-hop. 100% anti-hip-hop. And Drake knows this, but he's going to continue to do it because he don't care.
They say that the argument is doomed to fail and is nowhere close to establishing that plaintiff's defamation claim is facially without merit. When they say that UMG is trying to ignore the complaint's allegations that millions of people all over the world did understand this as defamatory material as a factual assertion that plaintiff is a PDF file, right here they're trying to argue that people believed it. UMG also ignores allegations that the statements in question, all surrounding the context, implied that allegations were based on undisclosed evidence and the audience understood as much. Indeed, UMG effectively concedes that it has no hope of defeating the sufficiency of the complaint via its attempt to substitute the pleadings with its own factual narrative contained within the request of judicial notice of 26 exhibits. Was that the statements in question implied that the allegations were based on undisclosed evidence and the audience understood as much. This part that Drake's team is trying to argue is going to get tricky because this is ignoring allegations of fact. The complaint asserts that the statements made about the plaintiff were understood by the audience as factual assertions rather than opinion. the reference to the case that they use.
But that's still opinionated based. How you gonna say that the audience believe it was a factual insertion? Most people are not going around saying that he's a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing that. Most people are not going around saying that Drake is a pedophile. So you can't say that it's a factual insertion. Most people believe that. How you know what most people believe? And the truth be told, if that was the case, then he would be, if most people believe that, then nobody would be streaming his music. He wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't care. Nobody wouldn't care. They wouldn't be buying his stuff if everybody believed that. And for you to say it's a factual insertion when it's an opinion, because he said, say, Drake, I hear you like I'm young. So he heard that. You can't say, oh, well, it's a factual assertion. No, it's not. And how can you say that somebody's taking something as a factual insertion? You can't say that. What if I believe something totally different? What if I believe it's just a battle, which most people do? Most people don't believe Drake's a pedophile, bro. Everybody knows this.
Indicates that an opinion based on undisclosed facts can be defamatory if the audience interprets it as a factual statement. Drake's lawyer is trying to prove that UMG's failure to acknowledge this is crucial because if the statements were indeed seen as factual and supported by an undisclosed fact, they could be grounds for defamation. However, this is the reason why UMG had did what they did, and they put the footnote on page 16. On page 16, the footnote addressed how Drake had a relationship with Millie Bobby Brown when the latter was, you could read it right there, as well as the situation that he had on stage. You could read it right there. And also when they're referring to the background that Baca has, Baca Not Nice is an affiliate, an OVO affiliate of Drake's that Kendrick Lamar had referenced. Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? They highlighted those charges. They highlighted those cases that he was involved in. And the reason why they point out these specific things is very important to the argument that they have made in the first place. Because Drake's lawyers are trying to get at him this way, the thing that you have to understand is these are the things that you could actually say did occur. When Drake was on stage with that person, that was true. When Drake was texting Millie Bobby Brown, when he's her senior, that is true. Talking about Baca and his weird case, that is true. The reason why UMG decided to stick to these things is because if the public is believing what Kendrick Lamar is saying, UMG could go back over here and say, well, there's a reason why they believe what Kendrick is saying is true.
Exactly. So if the public do believe it, which I don't believe the public believes it, if they do, it came from Drake. It didn't come from Kendrick. Everything that Drake did, it came from him. So when they say, oh, well, you got to understand that Kendrick Lamar was calling him these names. I just really can't believe that we got to this point where we're arguing about a diss track in court. I can't believe this. I can't believe this, bro. I can't.
Kendrick is voicing his opinion, but his opinion is based off things that happened in the past. It starts to become truth as a defense to defamation. Truth is an absolute defense to a defamation claim. If the statements made by the defendant happen to be true, they can't be considered defamatory, regardless of how damaging or harmful they are to the plaintiff's reputation. This means that if UMG's claims about the plaintiff are factually accurate and provable, the defamation claim would likely fail, even if the audience understood the statements to be factual assertions. So there's a reason why they had brought this up only. Another thing that I thought UMG could do was just stick to the fact that this was just an opinion-based sport. This was just hyperbole. This was just a rap battle. This isn't supposed to be taken serious. Going back to the paperwork right here, they quote page 16. They say, offering UMG's interpretation of the meaning of the lyrics from another exhibit, none of this is appropriate at the motion to dismiss stage. But I don't think the key part is the lyrics. I think the key part is the footnote. If UMG is claiming that the statements are true, they could argue that any implications in the statements are based on undisclosed but accurate facts. In that case, UMG could argue that the audience understood the statements as accurate and not defamatory. If the plaintiff can't prove that the statements are false, they may lose the defamation case because truth is a defense. As far as
That's a good one right there. What he just said is definitely a good one. They can interpret it as uh accurate but not defamatory. Like that's great. That's a great point out right there. Because basically they're saying like, well, that actually did happen. So it ain't we ain't looking at it from the point of view of it's we know we trying to assassinate his character. He actually did do these things. Like, so it ain't like Kendrick's lying. Like, that was a good point out right
the
there.
context and how the audience interprets statements, it mentions that the audience understood the statements to be factual assertions. This is key. If the plaintiff can show that the statements were presented as facts, even if UMG believes they were merely opinions and interpretations, it could still give a rise to a defamation claim. But if UMG can show that the underlying facts are true and they made a fair statement based on those facts, the defamation claim could be harder to pursue successfully. So, what happens if the statements are true? If it turns out that the plaintiff did what they are accused of, and the truth of the matter is backed up by evidence, then the defamation case would collapse because truth is a complete defense. UMG would simply need to prove that the statements were factually accurate. Public figures in actual malice. If the plaintiff is a public figure, they would also need to show that UMG acted with actual malice, meaning that UMG made the statements with knowledge that they were false or with reckless disregard for the truth. Even
That's another good point right there. So they would have to be out here really smearing Drake, knowing that that it's a lie. But from what they presented in that one slide, it's not a lie. You did tell a girl on stage, hey, oh, you 17. Oh my God, why you look like that, man? I don't want to go to jail. Yeah. So it ain't like Kendrick was lying. You definitely did these things in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
if the statements are true, if UMG made them in a defamatory way without regard for the truth, the plaintiff might still have a case. However, proving actual malice is a high bar. So my whole stance is this: what if Drake and his lawyers, they're trying to push back, they're trying to say, you're trying to say that this was opinion based, but everybody thinks this is true. Because you're bringing this up, because of these lyrics, you're claiming that he told Kendrick Lamar to say it because of the Tupac AI telling him to say it. But the things that Kendrick Lamar is saying, they're trying to say that people think that this shit is true. What I'm saying, where it could get messy, is what if UMG is trying to say, yo, what Kendrick Lamar said was opinion based, it was hyperbole, it wasn't supposed to defame nobody, it was just something that happened in a rap battle, non actionable opinion, but there is things online that do back up what Kendrick Lamar is saying. And what if UMG tries to prove those things as the truth? And I think that's why UMG had showed this footnote before Drake's lawyer could give any type of pushback. I think they're still gonna move with the opinion based argument that all of this was just a rap battle and everybody was in on it. But I think them pointing this out right here in the very beginning is to also back up that not only is Kendrick Lamar stating opinion, he's stating an opinion based off factual events. So
And I think that's right. That right there is going to be the key to this case getting dismissed. Because I'm telling you, once they read this and they see and they look at all of the evidence that's presented in front of them, I don't see how they can actually go along with this whole thing. I definitely think they're gonna dismiss this. I definitely think they're gonna dismiss it. Let's keep it going a little more.
it's not like Kendrick Lamar is just coming out and saying this out of nowhere. There's a chance that Kendrick is saying this. There's a chance during past events, factual events, of questionable behavior that is coming from Drake. And that could be the main possibility why Kendrick Lamar is bringing this up in the first place. And that's why I'm saying that it could get messy if they were to try to go this route, because then they would try to prove that what Kendrick Lamar is saying could be true. And for the most part, what Kendrick said was true. It was true what he said about Baca. It was true about how he was still around. Why is he still around? It was true that when he said that he had people on his payroll because Baca's on his payroll and he is that. It was true about the Millie Bobby Brown relationship. You did have a relationship with Millie Bobby Brown. There was also the situation on stage, the situation that Drake had on stage. That was a factual event. That did occur. That did actually happen. So if UMG tries to argue this and tries to say, well, hey, this is true though. This did happen. And this is why Kendrick was saying that stuff. I feel like it could get messy. But I feel like UMG was smart and they had brought this up because they're going to argue that Kendrick Lamar's opinions were simply based off of factual events that had occurred during Drake's career. It would still hold the
It's your. We're gonna end it there. Make sure y'all go follow the Ville. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna tell y'all, it's crazy because the whole thing here is we always talking about how much we hate the machine and we hate the machine and we hate this. But this is an interesting one because the machine is actually protecting Kendrick. And I know a lot of y'all might say they're not really protecting Kendrick. They're actually protecting their own interest. They don't want to get sued or they don't want this. But just imagine if Drake wins this lawsuit and everything changes. I mean, who you really siding with on this? And I know I got an episode about that. Make sure y'all go check that out. But it's just a point that I'm making here. And it's like, it's crazy to see this whole thing play out like this. It's so crazy to see this whole thing play out. And I think at this point, I think what we need to do is when Drake, if this case gets dropped, and I definitely think we should push Drake out of hip hop. I don't think he should be anywhere near hip hop. This case get dropped, I think, I'm not gonna say boycott him because I don't like that term, but I'm gonna say we should definitely not really hear him out when it comes to this stuff. Because he basically tried to destroy hip hop. That's how I look at it. I don't care what anybody say. Drake tried to destroy hip hop by doing something like this. He's basically the Justin Trudeau of hip hop right now. He's one of those guys who wants to censor you. You know what I'm saying? He gonna censor you. Oh, you can't say that about me, but I can say what I want about you. It's like those governors who was wearing during COVID, they was telling everybody they had to wear masks and they got caught wasn't wearing a mask with their families and they're partying. That's Drake. You know what I'm saying? But thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all for being here with me. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what y'all think about this. Do y'all think that Drake, they're gonna drop the case? Or y'all think that this is gonna go on? I got a feeling that they're gonna drop the case. I've got a feeling that they're gonna try to push through, but I got a feeling once they read some of that stuff and they start doing a little bit of research, then yeah. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. See y'all. Peace. Bye.